So the first step in setting up your PowerSchool Pro Teacher Gradebook is to set up your grading categories. Remember, whenever you're in PowerSchool, you want to make sure and check that your term is set correctly, and you'll also want to select your correct course from your drop-down list. I have a Math 3 course. In order to get to your grading categories, you're going to click from the left-hand menu, the A+ Grading, and then underneath Assignments, choose Categories. You now see a list of categories for your gradebook. These categories are like buckets into which assignments will go. The following should be standardized across your school or your grade level based on administrator input when it comes to categories. The number of categories used, how categories are weighted, which means how much each category counts towards the final grade, and the names for categories. You also should inactivate unused categories. Here on the category page, you see some default categories that are set up in every PowerTeacher Pro gradebook. You can tell these are the default that are pushed by the district by this little icon of a schoolhouse next to each category name. You will also see the classes that are using this category and if the category is active or inactive. On the left-hand side, you can order which category is at the top. The recommendation from Charleston County School District is that you use 2 categories, one for major work and one for minor work. Major work will include things like assessments and projects. Minor work will include things like quizzes and daily work. We recommend using these same category names across your school and or grade levels consistently. So let's go ahead and take a look at the major category. To edit or look at the details for any category, you click on the pencil icon. This category screen now shows you which classes are selected to use this category. You can click this drop down where it says Select Classes to choose any classes that you'd like. Remember, this gradebook setup only applies to classes in grades 3 through 12. The name of the category is then listed, the color, and if it is active or inactive. Because this is one of our recommended categories, major, we're going to want to make sure this radio button is set to active. Another suggestion when setting up categories is to click on the Assignment Defaults tab. PowerSchool defaults to publishing assignments immediately, publishing scores. Our recommendation for Charleston County School District is to make sure that the score type is set to % and the points is 100. This means that every time you enter a grade for an assignment in the major category, you would enter it as a percentage, 87%, 99%, 62%, regardless of the number of points for that assignment. You would also want this default to count in the traditional final grade. Again, these are the defaults for all assignments for the major category. Once you have set this to be % and points as our recommendation, you can select Save. You will then know that you have done something because of the green box that comes up at the top. You will then need to inactivate categories. In order to inactivate any category that you are not using, you will click on the Edit button or pencil next to that category name. So I'm going to choose Classwork since that's not one of my major minor and click on the pencil. Once this pops up, I will then click on the Inactive Radio button and click Save. You notice once I do that, I can no longer see the classwork category name from this list. If you ever do want to see inactive categories, simply select the box next to Show Inactive, and these will display at the bottom. These will not have an active check on them. You now have only the categories listed that are active that you are going to apply for your classes. This helps you to make sure that no assignments end up in any categories that you're not going to use later to calculate the total grade. If your school or administrator requires you to use categories with different names than those given by the district, you can add a category by clicking the top plus icon and then selecting Category. From this screen, you will then be able to set up your category with a name and whether it is active or inactive and the classes to which it applies. As a reminder, the district recommendation is to use major and minor, but if you do need to add a category due to administrator requirement, you do that through this process.